Morning students, welcome to your computer class. So students, we were learning about Adobe Photoshop and we were discussing about different tools which can be used to crop an image or to make changes to an image. So in short, we were trying to learn about different tools which we were using during the while using the Photoshop. So let's move further, and before we start, let's do a quick recap of what we have learned till now. So students, what in our last class we learned about Marquee tool, lasso tool, quick selection tool and magic wand tool. I hope all of you would have read these topics, and today we are going to move further and we are going to start with crop tool. Now what is a crop tool and what is it used for? So students, a crop tool is used to select the part of an image which we need, and rest of them it can be ignored or it can be removed. So whatever, suppose if you have an image and if you want to make only one specific selection and remove the other parts which you don't need it, then we use the crop tool. Now to open the crop tool, there are certain steps mentioned here, which is first we will need to have the image in our workspace. If we don't have an image, we can't use the work tool. So by naturally, we need to have the crop tool image, and then from the tools panel, we will select the crop tool. Now what happens here, the moment we select the crop tool, you can see there are few handles which come up next to the image. Now here we have two options which we can do. So depending upon the situation, we will make a decision. The first situation is that we will drag the handle to fit the area of the image which we want, right? Whichever we want, and rest of the others will be cropped. So it will be separated. The second instance is where we drag the mouse over the part of the image we want to retain, and leave the rest of them back. Now once we had made the selection, we can press the enter key, or you can see a small tick mark which is called as the commit button in Photoshop. You can click on the commit button and you can see the image will be cropped in the new window. Coming to the next tool, which is the move tool. As the name suggests, move tool is used to drag the image from one place to another. So if you have two images you are working on, you want part of one image to move and go to the other tool, then we will be using the move tool to move from one image to another image, or the same image to a different portion or different parts of that particular image. Now here, what are the steps of using this tool? First, we will select the portion of the image which we want to move. Then we will click on the move tool from the tools panel, and then place the mouse pointer on the selection which you have made, and once you take it out, once you try to move it, you can see a black kind of a background forming when you are moving the image. So this is how we use the move tool. Next comes is copying the image. Now how do we copy an image? See, students, when we are working on a Photoshop, we can also copy a part of an image to another location, or on the same image, or to any other image. Now if we want to copy a selection on the same image, there are few steps which are there, which is first, as natural, we will have to open an image in the workspace. Next, we will select the Marquee tool or lasso tool, whichever you feel you require at that point of time, you can do that. So we are using simultaneously tool. If you can see, we are using Marquee tool, and the next again we are using a move tool. So we have made a selection and then we are moving it out. So two or three tools, same point of time, we will be using it to until and unless that particular task is completed. Once we use the move tool, we can press the alt key and we can click and drag the selection to the other part. Now if we want to copy a selection to another image, to copy a selection, then we will open the image, make a selection again using the Marquee tool or lasso tool, and then we will click on edit and copy. You will find these options in your menu bar on the top, where under the edit tab you will find an option which is called as the copy menu option. We will open the final image where we want to move that to, and then edit and paste them. So once you do that, you can see the selection moving to another page. Next come is the transforming objects. So when we talk about transforming objects, there are transforming tools also which we need to discuss. Now the first one we are going to talk about is scale. Now what a scale does? Scale, as the name suggests, enlarges or reduces the size of an image, right? So for example, if you want to scale the picture horizontally, you can place it horizontally, you can place it vertically, or at the same point of time, if you're working on two images, you can have one horizontal and one vertical at the same point of time. Next come is the rotate. This is a very simple one, and we quite often we use this feature in our mobile phone also. In rotate, we turn an item around to a reference point. So by default, if you see, this point would be at the center of the object. However, you can move it to another location also if you want to. Next is skew. Now what does skew means? Students, if you try to get the definition of the word skew, skew means to change the shape or a sound that it seems strange or unclear. Oh, sorry, that's distort. Skew means which doesn't have any particular this thing shape. So right, it can be kind of a different kind of a shape which has not defined path, right? So a skew slants on an item vertically and horizontally also. So we can drag the side of the handle to skew the image. Next come is to distort. Now distort means again which is not clear, kind of a blur, what you can call it as. So distort and blur almost looks same here. You can go ahead and drag the corner of the handle to stretch the image. Next comes is the perspective. In perspective, we drag a corner of the handle like a torch beam. You can see, if you see the image in your book, it looks like a torch beam, the beam of light coming from one point, the corner of the handle, and we can apply the perspective on a particular image. Next come is flip horizontal. If you want to flip the picture horizontally, you can flip it. You can see how it changes it. And if you want to flip it vertically, you can also change it and flip it vertically. So these are the few tools which we will be looking on. Now I have put an image example here, students, so that if you have a look on it, you can see how these images are by using the transform object. What happened to these images? This is an example. If you see the first image, that is the original image, and the second one, I have flipped that image. Now you can see I have here flipped it horizontally. You can see I have flipped it horizontally. See, we have selected the border. Once you select the border, you can see how the selection takes place. And in the last one, I have scaled the object. So you can see how the changes takes place in an image. So we will be practicing these things in our lab once the school reopens. So here, let's try to understand these with these examples. So students, this brings us to the end of the class. So we are going to stop here. So we will be doing differentiate between the following question number 4, which is differentiate between crop tool and move tool, and answer the following question number 1 and question number 2 in your computer notebook. For crop and move tool, you know which format you have to draw and how you need to differentiate. 2 points should be more than sufficient to differentiate between crop and move tool. So just in case if you have any doubts, any questions, feel free to reach me through the comment section. So students, thank you for your time and stay home and stay healthy.